All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be making a video of our SketchUp house. So mine's going to look a little bit different because I just have the outside. I don't have the inside, but I am going to give you just an idea of what I expect you to do. So we're going to make this into a video. So in order to do that, we have to add in scenes, right? Currently, I have no scenes. So I'm going to go ahead and add a scene, and I would recommend starting zoomed out quite a bit. It's called an orientating shot. So everybody is able to get orientated with where everything is. They do this in film, usually with like the news or something like that. Oftentimes they'll start zoomed out and then they'll go just to one individual anchor, and that way you don't feel discombobulated, you don't feel lost with where you're at. So orientating scene, and then we're just going to change it a little bit. You have to have 25 different scenes. So if I'm going to look over the rubric, you need to have 25 scenes, smooth transition between scenes. So I'm not going to go from zoomed way out here to something like way down here. That's going to make people dizzy. We don't want that. So we want it fairly smooth. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit and maybe turn it slightly. And then I'm going to go to View, Animation, Add Scene. And there is a shortcut that we could press for that instead of going through. Smooth transition. Tour is humanly possible. No ghosting between walls. I think you can probably figure out what that means. I gave it a pretty specific description there. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit more, and I'm going to go View, Animation, Add Scene. And if you look at this, it says I can hit Option, Command, and Plus to add a scene. So I don't have to go through this menu if I hit Option, Command, Plus. For now, I'm just going to hit Add Scene, and I'll hit Option, Command, Plus next time. So what else? What else do I need to have? Tour is copyright free background music. Okay, that's something that we'll use in iMovie. Narration's done professionally completely. iMovie again. Titles included. So right now I'm just going to make all my scenes. And I'm not going to make 25 of them, primarily because after you've seen how to do it, you don't need to watch me do it 4,000 times. So I'm going to just continue to zoom in here just a little bit at a time. Zoom in on my bald dude. Option Command Plus. You see how scene 4 came up. I didn't have to go through that whole process. Zoom in a little bit more. And what I actually like to do is try to get it at a walking level. So if someone were about this tall, I try to get it so it is like you are walking through. That would be pretty sweet, right? If you wanted to be fancy, I've had students in the past who added in like footsteps. So they made a video game. We may get into that eventually. Right now it's just a house tour, but they made a video game, and when people were walking through, Option Command Plus, it had footsteps, so it sounded like they were actually really walking around, which is pretty cool. Okay, I'm just going to do a couple more, and then you're going to get the idea of what we're doing. And I think you probably already have a decent idea. And Option Command Plus, I say that enough times, you're going to have it memorized also. And we're going to go up a step, so I'm going to pull it down, so it feels a little bit like we went up the step. And then forward, and we're going to turn a little bit. Almost done. Hang with me, and then I'll get to the next step. Whoop. Option Command Plus. Just so you know, this little green part there, that would be a deduction on your grade, because we're going to try to make it so it seems as though that it's flawless, it's perfect. So we're going to try to eliminate those kind of things. All right, I'm going to go up a step and in a little bit. Turn a little bit more. You see how I'm just doing ever so slightly. I've already got 10 scenes though. Shift Option Plus. And I'm going to stop there. Maybe I'll do one more. I don't want to change my view too much. Otherwise, it's not going to seem realistic. It's going to go zipping around everywhere. Option Command Plus. Okay, so I'm going to check this out real quick just to make sure that it flows fairly smoothly. So View, Animation, and Play. I'm actually going to go to scene 1 first, though. View, Animation, Play. And we'll see how it looks. I might have some stuff that's a little bit choppy, so this is where... All right. You're going to play. View, Animation, Play. Did I click off of it? All right. Zooming in on the bald dude. Slight hesitation between each scene, which is fine. If you want to eliminate that, we can do that too. So far, so good. Zooming in, getting about down to human level where I'd be walking around. Taking a look, those are some nice trees. Very nice. Take a step up. That wasn't terribly realistic. All right, that looks all right. And then it starts back over. So you get the idea. I do want to show you how to do one other thing with this view animation. And if I go to settings, I can get this and the transition time. That's how long it takes to zoom in. You probably don't want to change that a whole lot. If you knock it down, it's going to be jumpy, where it jumps from one scene to the next. The delay time, I'm going to try it to 0 and just show you what that looks like. Instead of pausing between each one, it just keeps going. I might stick that to like 0.2 or something like that. You can set it to what you want. I wouldn't pause longer than a second though. So there's an option. I'm going to go to view animation and we're going to go to, I want to view that animation toolbar. That might be under window. Can you find it before me? Look. So there is a way to view, I'm sorry, I'm wasting your time. Scenes, window scenes. Okay, it's going to take a little while to generate. So now I can add scenes fairly quickly this way too. So let's go down to my last scene, and this is just another way to do it. So I'm on scene 12. So now if I'm going to move it a little bit, turn it a little bit, instead of doing my option command to add a scene, I can just hit the plus button here. That's quick and easy, and boom, I have another one. If there's one I don't like, I can click on it and I can hit the minus button. I can reorder them. If I'm like, I want to change this up, I can drag them up or down or click these arrows here. You have a few options. You can explore this though. So we're going to say you get this well enough, and I'm going to go into File, Export, and we're going to make it into an animation. File, Export, Animation. So this makes it into a video file or an MOV file, MP4 file in this case. Got some options. We're going to do MP4. I'm going to go ahead and save it to the desktop for now because I'm not going to keep this very long. Export. It's going to take a little while because every single scene, it has 625 slides it's making. So we had the easy part of making 13 scenes, and you're going to make 25. But out of 13 scenes, it actually makes 625 different individual pictures that it has to lace together to make it look smooth. So quite the task there. While I'm waiting for this, I'm going to go ahead and go into iMovie and show you a few things that are expected there. And a lot of this should be review. If there's a previous project, it's going to pull that up. So it's going to pull up my Foundations of Faith project. I'm going to go back, create a new movie. You might have to name the previous thing. For my rubric here, all right, excuse me. Tour has copyright-free background music at appropriate volume. Okay. For now, the easiest thing to do would just be to go to audio and pick one of these. All these are copyright-free. They're made by Apple for you to use for your projects. They're copyright free. You're probably going to want one that's a little longer, so you can organize them by time by clicking on time. And the longest ones will either be at the top or the bottom. If I click it again, now the shortest ones are at the top. Click it again, now the longest ones are at the top. Probably want a fairly long one. Find one that you like. Okay, so I don't like any of them. We'll go with the river walk for now. I'm going to go ahead and drag that on down. Maybe if I bring it all the way down to the bottom, this is now my background music. So that's taken care of. Narration is done professionally. Appropriate volume, misspoken words, cut out, pleasant voice inflection. So you don't have to talk crazy with voice inflection, but I don't want it to be boring. And then here's my living room. Here's my this. Here's my that. Talk like you're trying to sell it a little bit. So you're kind of excited about it, but it's not fake. And then align to video. So if you're talking about your living room when you're in the bathroom, that's not aligned to the video. You need to be talking about the parts that you're viewing at the time. So that'll be easier after we get the video actually imported, so you can actually just talk right along with it. If you want to type this out ahead of time, fine. If you want to just fly by the seat of your pants and talk about it as it goes, that's tremendously awesome too. Titles included: Sketchup House project created by your name. That's something else I can do while this is finishing up. So I'm going to go to titles, and I'm going to pick a title, drag it in, and I'm going to call this like My Sketchup House by Mr. Off it, see if it resizes it. Yeah, I don't like that because house is on its separate line. I would deduct for that. So we're going to shrink the size down a little bit so it fits. Okay, so that right there took 30 seconds, and it's 25% of my grade. That is why you read through the rubric, because that took no time for all of this. The longest is going to be building the house and then creating the scenes. That was 25% of your grade, but you need to have credit for it. We have the background music, so we have 50% of this done. And we're going to check on this. It looks like my export must be done. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and find it. I saved to the bench. I was reading the word bench. That's called a Freudian slip. I saved it at the desktop. I'm going to go ahead and drag this baby in now. And I'll go ahead and put it at the beginning right away. So it looks like it goes through fairly quickly, and that's okay. We'll go ahead and watch it real quick and see if I need to change it. Okay, that speed looks all right. So turns out I don't need this long. You might, because you're going to have 25 slides. I only have 13. So we're going to go ahead and give this a shot. And to record, I could go into GarageBand. That's a lot more professional because I can split it and cut it, and it's easier to edit there. I'm going to go ahead and give it a shot with this, and I'm just going to talk about it as it comes. I haven't typed this out. You don't have to either. You can just tell me about what you see. So I'm going to hit the record button. And when I hit the red, it's going to be live. So I'm going to back it up to the very beginning because I'm going to do my intro also. It will mute this, I believe, while I'm talking, so it doesn't record the background music over top of itself, because if it does that as a loop, and there will be an echo. We're going to try to avoid that. So I'm going to hit the record button, and My Sketchup House by Mr. Anand. Welcome to my dream backyard. As we zoom in on the back patio, we see a bunch of vegetation and a fire pit. As we scroll around the house, we can see the steps made out of retaining wall block and the hot tub for those cold winter nights when you want to be outside but not freeze your backside off. And that's my house. Okay, I didn't do a great job narrating. I would probably try to plan it out a little better than I just did. And I had a couple times where I just stuttered a little bit. I just hesitated. So we're going to listen to it quick and see how this sounds. My Sketchup House by Mr. Anand. Welcome to my dream backyard. As we zoom in on the back patio, we see a bunch of vegetation. So on the show you how to do this. Bunch of vegetation. Okay, so these bumps are the volume. The bigger the bumps, that's when I'm talking. When there's no bumps, that's when I'm not talking at all. So we see right about here, I say So what I do is I'm going to hit Command B. That splits it. Of course, I had to click on this first. And B again. Nope, I wasn't clicked on it. Delete it. Now this is anchored, this little green line is anchored to this part of the video. So that's why it didn't shift back next to this. So we'll see if it sounds better. We see a bunch of vegetation. And I do actually want to slide that over. So I'm going to click on it, drag it over, because we don't need the pause. We see a bunch of vegetation and a fire pit. As we scroll around the house, we can see the steps made out of retaining wall block. There's kind of a long pause there. Steps made out of retaining wall block. Steps made out of retaining wall block. Not too terrible. Just a little pause right here I'm going to get rid of. And the pickier you are with this, the better, because we want it to sound professional. I'm just going to show you how. I'm not going to be quite as meticulous just because I'm not going to take up more of your time. Steps made out of retaining wall block. Oops, not retaining wall, retaining wall. So I cut out a little too much. So you saw I just dragged that over, and then I pulled it over to get the word retaining wall block. Retaining wall. If I get it all. That might have got too much. Retaining wall block. That's better. Got rid of my pause. All right. The steps made out of retaining wall block, and the hot tub for those cold winter nights. Again, long pause. And I'll cut out a little bit of that 0.4 seconds, half second pause there. Tub for those cold winter nights when you want to be outside but not freeze your backside off. And that's my house. Okay, I didn't do a great. Okay, and then obviously I didn't do a great. Okay, I didn't do. So I'm going to go ahead and split that off. We don't want that in there. Cut it out. So we're going to go ahead and look through the rubric one last time, make sure it looks all right before I turn this into a video. So 25 scenes, did that smooth transition. That was pretty good. And again, it's going to be more difficult for you. I've done this several times, so it might take you a little while. Tour is humanly possible, no ghosting between walls, which means that you can't walk through a wall. You need to go through doorways. Makes sense. Otherwise, it's not going to look realistic. Tour is copyright-free background music. Yes, narration is done professionally, appropriate volume of spoken words aligned to video. One thing I may want to do, depending on the volume, is I may want to shrink down this a little bit. So I'm going to click on it and take my background volume. Hello. There we go. Down a little bit. Zoom in on the back patio. So I need to make sure I can hear my voice. That is more important than the background music. I want to hear the background music, but not at the cost of losing my voice. Title included, and it says titles included, so we should probably have two. We have one at the beginning that just says My Sketchup House by Mr. Anand. Lovely. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put that at the end also. I want to make sure and give myself plenty of credit for this amazing work here. Okay, so if I had all 25 scenes, if I was done, again, I didn't give you a very good tour. This is not a full tour. This is me showing you how to do it. I expect you to have more of a full tour. If this were truly the end of my video, though, I'm going to go ahead and split this clip. So I hit Command B after I'd highlighted it, and I'm going to delete that because I don't want you to hand in a 15-minute video and the last 13 minutes of it is just sound with no picture. So if the pictures are over, your titles are over, I like that this zooms out. So at the very end, we have that orientation view again. And that's my house. That goes back, kind of ties it in to where it started. So what I mean is I shouldn't have music continuing on after that. My music is over. It should be done. So to make this sound a little bit more professional, instead of having it end on a loud note, I'm going to click on this and this little circle here. If I click right on the circle, it's going to give me a double arrow, not this double arrow. That's going to shrink or grow. I don't want that. On that little circle with a dot, looks like an eyeball, I get two triangles. I know my shapes. I'm going to click on it and drag it over, and that's going to fade it out. So notice the difference between this, fairly loud, and now this. Click on the eyeball, drag it over. It fades out instead, just a little bit more of a smooth transition. So when we're done, we go to File, Share File, and we're going to want this to be in high def, not audio only. We want video and audio. And we're going to make this as high quality as we can. If it allows you 1080p, great. Otherwise, 720p, that's still pretty darn good because most likely we're going to view this on a computer screen. So we're going to click that, click Next, and give it a title, save it to where you're going to remember it. And I'm not actually going to do this because I don't really want this video. There's going to be the little white pie piece that shows up here in the corner. You have to wait till that's fully white. If you close out iMovie before that, it canceled the saving. So you could still get in. It's not deleted forever. You can still get in and see this file, but I don't want this file. I don't want your iMovie file. I want a video file. So I want the M4A or MP4 file or whatever it was that we were going to save it as. So wait till that white piece gets done, and then that is what you're going to be handing in. So this should be a pretty cool project by the time we're all done. Excited to see your final products and then be able to save and share these hopefully with our parents at student-led parent-teacher conferences.